I'm Meli, one of the co-founders of Mana Up. We have Brittany here, my co-founder, Craig, our program manager, and two of our alumni entrepreneurs from Cohort 10. We have Ian from Caddy and Leilani from Keiki department joining us today. So thank you all again. Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna share my screen. So what I'm gonna do is actually I'll just start and then we can do this here. Let's see here. Share and then okay, awesome. Can everybody see my screen? Okay, hopefully. Okay, awesome. All right, well, thank you. We're so excited to be kicking off our cohort 11. Can't believe it's been 11 co or 10 cohorts already and we're ramping up. We just sort of an agenda standpoint for today, we'll be doing a MonUp overview, and a little bit more on cohort 11 information as well as expectations for this year. And then we'll be doing two alumni spotlights with Ian and Leilani to share more about their experience. And then we'll open up for Q&A. You can ask us questions, ask Ian or Leilani direct questions. And we always love that part because we want to make sure that you folks have the opportunity for that, as well as if you do have other questions that you want to send to us more privately, you can do that as well. Awesome. So Brittany and I started Mana Up back in 2017, really as an economic development initiative, really to help more local products scale to global markets. And it's been an incredible ride. Since then, we've built out our retail initiative, venture capital fund, as well as many other aspects of infrastructure and opportunity here to help grow more products who are great quality products and helping them grow, create jobs and opportunity here in the state. So really this is, as we think about why this is important, we think about this diversified economy. We think about, our two core industries here being tourism and military, thousands of acres of ag land, the brand of Hawaii being so strong. How are we thinking about these as regional strengths, competitive advantage, opportunities, and other types of assets that we have that can really grow companies and again create jobs and revenue for the state. This is a little bit more on the breakdown of the companies and the founders and the types of companies we've worked with over the years. 105 companies have come through the program. Of course, all headquartered here, many manufacturing in the islands, many sourcing local ingredients, which we love as well. And a nice breakdown of the different types of founders. But we've worked with lots of different founders of every different background. So we're really excited again to be continuing to grow. This is a little bit more of like the dollars and cents. And this is an important slide because as we think about legislation, government stakeholders and our economic future, this industry really is growing. It is contributing to our revenues from a state and tax standpoint and really needs to be taken seriously and continue to be taken seriously to create more legislation that's going to make it better for small business to succeed here because this is working. And these are the kinds of things that are important, of course, to our legislators. But this is a breakdown. Last year, the companies that reported their revenue represented 113 million to the state. Average revenue from our alumni is a little over a million. And there's a 28% average growth rate and representing about 1,100 jobs. So again, all important pieces of data, which is why this industry is growing and working and needs to be continued to be fostered here in Hawaii. Well, we love this slide. It's a nice breakdown of the four categories of the consumer packaged goods or consumer brands that we've worked with over the years. So we can see a lot in the food space, as well as the health and beauty, fashion, and home. So you may recognize some of these logos, but we may have to go to 2 pages soon, which is kind of fun. Our programs have really expanded over the years, and we've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs throughout early stage, later stage, and it's been wonderful as we've grown our mentors and resources. We've been able to share that with folks on neighbor islands and student groups and other folks like that. So this is a little bit more on kind of how we started. The middle piece is really the accelerator. That's really kind of the nuts and bolts and where the core of Mana Up is, and that's the middle piece, the 6 month program, which we'll get more into what that is. But as I mentioned earlier, we really started also supporting more on the earlier side because helping the pipeline. And as we met amazing instructors and mentors, skills-based instructors, leadership, we've really created some earlier stage elements of programming. But more importantly, especially as we have 105 companies that have now gone through the program, the later stage stuff is really exciting as they're all headquartered here, growing their business, now growing their revenue. And of course, when you grow your revenue, you have later stage challenges that we love working with our alumni companies to help them as they get new challenges that they may not have been facing when they went through the original program. Some of those things may be like hiring strangers and having HR strategies and policies or governance and other things like that that again are things that challenges always continue and they change as you get bigger. And we're going to be right alongside our alumni companies to help them get to that next big inflection point. This is just a little bit more on local sourcing and just what are we doing to support diversified agriculture here. But this is more focused for the food companies and the health and beauty companies that are sourcing local. This is a little bit more on our retail initiative. So we have some awesome stores that we've launched over the years. We've got our South Shore Market store. We just opened our Royal Hawaiian store in partnership with Kohana Rum and Manoa Chocolate. It's a rum and chocolate pairing experience inside the store. So we are always looking at ways to push the needle on new experiences and ways to be engaging with tourists and ways to be engaging with retail. So that's a really exciting update on our side that just opened. So make sure to go and check that out if you haven't already at the Royal Hawaiian Center. We also have our stores on neighbor islands at the Mauna Kea Beach Hotel, Royal Lahaina, Westin Hapuna, and the Mauna Loa Visitor Center in Hilo. We also have done quite a few Aloha markets, really looking at how are we expanding reach and opportunity in Japan, LA, and New York, which is this whole concept of bringing Hawaii to the world. How are we growing? We are really grateful for our partners for the program that are really supporting the ability for us to host this accelerator free of charge. So there's no charge to be in the accelerator. We've got a lot of great corporate partners and government stakeholders. We do have a revenue model that we do, and I'll share more of what that is. But there is no actual fee. We do take a small percentage of your increase in sales for a certain number of years, which I'll get into in a later slide. So this is a little bit more on the accelerator criteria. We do require the companies are headquartered here. They are product good, so it's consumer brand in those four categories: food, health and beauty, home, and retail. The elevating the brand of Hawaii. So the brand needs to be somehow incorporated into the narrative of the company. So to us, it's an important aspect of the types of companies that we work with. And of course, wanting to scale past the islands, not just service the local market here, wanting to sell into the mainland, and of course, growing the pie and bringing new dollars into the state. Um, Traditionally, it's $100,000 or more in annual revenue. But we will look at companies that are tracking to hit that number. So if, again, they're at like 10,000 a month in sales, they may be less than a year old, but they're tracking kind of to hit that number or getting close to it. Those are definitely companies we also would want to talk with and meet with as well. And of course, the quality is important. So we are a 6 month program. We do go into different stages where we have more intensive times versus times where folks are able to do an implementation break. So we do host 12 workshops. And thank you to Hawaiian Airlines as our partner. If anyone is applying from a neighbor island, we do fly you over to be in person to be at our workshops in person. Um, so we do workshops as well as we do a 2 hour deep dive with folks when and we kind of really get into the nuts and bolts and the guts of like what's going on with the company, where are there some roadblocks and barriers, and what is going to be part of that curated piece of what we're doing and working on that may be different than what we may be working on with somebody else. So, it could be branding, packaging, narrative, IP, sourcing, lots of other things like that, that could be totally different with someone else. So this is where we meet with the companies every week for 30 minutes, one-on-one, and we create a mutually agreed upon list of what we're working on with that particular company. That again is a private thing that we're working on with them, and the companies are welcome to share. Excuse me, the companies are welcome to share, but we don't share that with anyone else. We have quite a large curated mentor network, many discounted resources and tools, office hours, as well as, of course, onboarding into our House of Mana Up program. And again, once graduating, get into the alumni programming. So our first workshop is going to be June 9th. They're typically on Tuesdays. We start around 1:30, go until 5, and then follow with Pauhana, where we invite folks to join us. Every week it's different. Every cohort has a different alcohol they like, so we're very open to learning if people like whiskey or rosé or nothing or water, whatever it is. We do host dinner and drinks. Make sure everyone's fed before they head off on the plane or drive home. And it's typically at the Entrepreneur Sandbox, which is in Kaka'ako, which is where our offices are, which many of you folks may have been to that facility in the past. We do provide the one round trip ticket per company if they are neighbor island. We do require that the founders are the ones participating in the workshops. Um, these are a few workshop examples. So as I was mentioning, it could be more skills based, or could be more leadership based, depending. And we really tailor the workshops after we meet with the companies as to like, are we seeing themes around challenge? Are we seeing, at least 5 or 6 companies kind of saying something similar? We'll adjust workshops to address that. In addition, of course, to like the curated one-on-ones that we're doing already. So these are a few areas. We've got more on the sales side, growing sales channels, learning around how to work with buyers. A lot of times folks walk in, it's not, a lot of these skills are not ones you're just born with. It's great when you have a network of people that can help kind of shed light on what's going on and how to best maximize the opportunities that, again, you don't always get an opportunity to talk with the buyer on what they're suggesting to do versus just like stepping into the room. We also have folks that are looking at like intellectual property and trademark, as well as brand strategy. But again, these are just a few of the workshops that we host and some of the speakers that we have. So this is the full proposed workshop schedule. That you can kind of see there are like the chunks of workshop, and then there'll be like implementation breaks. And the implementation breaks are important because there's a lot that's going to be thrown at you. You're already working really hard on your companies, and then you've got more things coming at you, which are all here to help you. So an accelerator really is a very concentrated amount of time to help you grow your company as quickly as possible and integrate a lot of these opportunities. What that does mean is that it's a lot of time, right? So we really found that having these implementation breaks were important so that you can start implementing some of the things, meeting with some of these mentors, and being able to incorporate that and then come back into session again. Oh, our Mana Up Showcase is going to be November 5th, which is the first Thursday of November at Bloomingdale's. And I'm sure many of you have been to those events in the past. So this is the deep dive I was mentioning. We fly to their facility or drive, depending where the facility is, meet for 2 hours with the entrepreneur, and really get dig into like, what are we going to work on? What's going to be most helpful? How do we create a list that's mutually agreed upon? And as we check things off, we add more things on. Something may pop up that we didn't know or you didn't know in the beginning, and we can add that to the list. So it's a moving list, and it's not a stuck list where once we decide with you, then it's, that's the only list. We love to check things off so we can add more things on. But these are just a few. Some people don't have a facility where they're making product, so we can meet at our offices or at one of our stores or something like that. These are some examples of just the on the mentorship side, the workshops we're hosting, the Mana Up retreat that we host every year for our alumni. It's 2 days of learning and networking with each other. One of the great things about Mana Up is just this really close like network and ohana of founders who are trust each other, can bounce ideas off each other, and many times that's some of the best guidance and advice you can get is someone that literally just went through it versus someone that may have gone through it 5 or 10 years ago as well. All right, so these are the key dates here. The initial is the deadline to apply is February 6th.
This is,
Um,
sorry, really quick. That was a quick
yeah,
typo. It is February 27th for the
thank you. I was
deadline.
gonna say, I was like, that's in 2 days.
Sorry.
Um, Thank you. Okay, so February 27th, which I believe is a Friday, is the deadline, the new deadline to apply. And you go to manapaway.com. It doesn't take very long. It shouldn't take more than like 10 minutes. Um, and then we have a very rigorous kind of interview schedule over the next couple months. And then we have our selection process, which we have a decently large selection committee that kind of looks through the applications and the interview notes, and then helps us select our 10 companies. And then we schedule a deep dive where we would come visit you and do our 2 hour deep dive. And then the program kickoff is June 9th. And I mentioned this earlier, so there is no fee to join Mana Up. What we do is it's a 1% to 2% depending on the level of revenue. So if you're over 1 million, it's 1%. If you're under, it's 2 of your increase in revenue. So I'll try to make it like really easy math. So if you're at $100,000 now, and let's just when you come into Mana Up and you increase your revenue after Mana Up to 200,000, it would be 2% of that additional 100,000 that you increased, not your whole maximum revenue. So again, that's really focused on your increase in revenue once you've gone through the program. All right, cool. So this is actually a photo from our last alumni retreat last year, which we hosted in Waikiki. And as you can see, we have a lot of founders coming in, and it's just a lot of fun just as cohorts get really close to each other. And you'll probably see that with Ian and Leilani, and just getting close with more folks that are in other cohorts. All right, cool. So I'm gonna now have Leilani start and share a little bit more on, and I will actually stop sharing my screen so you can see her better and share a little bit more on her experience on Up.
Thanks, Meli. Aloha, everybody. I'm Leilani from the Keiki department, and we create Hawaii-inspired keiki gear here on Oahu. And it's nice to see all you guys' faces. I hope you guys are excited. One of the things for me coming into Mana Up was just knowing that I was applying to be part of this community that would help me grow as a business owner here. I was fortunate enough to know a lot of people that had gone through the program, so I got to talk to them, and that's one thing I would recommend all of you. If you know anybody in the program, reach out, ask them questions about their experience. Um, for me personally, my biggest takeaway was just being in that room with other business owners who are at all different levels of business. I'm entering my 10th year of business, but I really only feel like it's my second year of like really focusing on like, this is what I want to do. Like it's no longer just something I fell into and was doing, but this is something that I plan to grow, scale, and retire from, and leave that legacy for my kids. Um, Pauhana was something that made me nervous. I'm not somebody that likes to go out and like talk to a bunch of people, let alone like these mentors. And so that was a little intimidating at first. But just take advantage of every opportunity you have in Mana Up, the people you get to meet alongside your cohort members, building those relationships are really key. Um, but yeah, I'll let Ian jump on.
Okay, good job, Leilani. I gotta go. Aloha everybody. I'm Ian. Ian Panter. I'm the owner of Sugar Caddy. Um, I think Mana Up was I think the lead up to Mana Up was completely different for me as I'm really new to the entrepreneurial space. I've only been in business 5 years. I've been juggling a full-time job at the same time during this whole period. And it was only through Mana Up when I really started to get serious. I'll share a little bit like the one-on-ones, the list that I had that we were going to work on over the year. My company was really messy when I got here. We weren't organized. We had just a lot of disconnect in my company. We weren't paying ourselves. It was just a lot. And by the end of Mana Up, my company was a completely different company. We were organized. We were getting paid. I closed on my first retail store here in Kamakana. I'm about to open my second retail store. And it was just night and day. And a lot of it had to do with what Leilani said was a networking. Being in a room every week, surrounded by other like-minded individuals. Like she said, some way further along than you are, and having the team, Brittany, Meli, Craig, it's really inspiring and it really forces you to put your feet down on, getting grounded within your company. And it really helped me be the CEO that my company needed me to be. Um, like, I didn't know where we're gonna be, and here I am, February, I'm gonna retire from my regular job. I'm gonna start doing my company full time. And from where I was 8 months ago to today is completely different. Um, and I'm completely different in Leilani, which like the Pauhanas is my arena. Like that's my favorite part of it. I couldn't wait till we get to the Pauhana. But it just goes to show the diversity in the companies and the people that's in that room. The first Mana Up event, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get along with all these people because we're so different, right? We're older, younger, from different backgrounds. But by the end of Mana Up, those other 9 companies are like family to me. We talk every day. Leilani texts me all day when she shouldn't be. And my wife is okay with it. But it was a really good experience and it's worth I tell everybody that's willing to ask me, like, it's worth every dollar that that we are giving to the program. And I would do it all over again if I could. So yeah.
Well, thank you, Ian. Thank you, Leilani, for sharing your experience. I'd love to open it up to questions, if anybody has any on the program, or you want to ask those guys directly and they can say whatever they want.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How long are you making those payments for? You didn't mention that.
Yes. It's for 4 years.
4 years. Great.
Mhm.
Thank you.
There is a question in the chat room, and I
Oh,
think
okay.
this is going to be for both Ian and Leilani, but how has Mana Up supported your company growth?
Go ahead, boss lady. You go first.
Wow. So for me, coming in to Mana Up, I mean, like, I've been doing this, I grew organically on social media and I didn't really have any direction for growth. It was kind of like, so I used to teach science, so I'm going to give a science example. So basically, it was this big science experiment I was doing, and I'd throw something out there and be like, okay, I hope this worked. Oh, this worked. Okay, we're going to head that direction. And I did, it was just kind of like being bottom up helped me look further down the line and like set those goals and not just set any goals. Like I'm setting bigger goals than I would have ever imagined, the kind that make you uncomfortable even thinking like, oh my God, like I'm gonna have to let somebody help me in my business, which I was my biggest roadblock coming into Mana to growing my business. And like finishing the program, I'm like, okay, like I am ready to like hand off different duties. I'm meeting with all these different companies, trying to figure out, who's my first hire going to be, where can I get help, and where do I need it the most to continue to grow, but not just like grow in any sort of way. It's like making sure that it's sustainable growth in the long term. And one of the things that I really like about Mana Up is just that whole idea that, we're doing this here in Hawaii to grow our local economy. And so like I want to keep as much as I can here through my business as well.
I think for me, it was more two-headed where it helped my company grow in a sense where it forced me to look at the voice of my company. Where I was, what my company was before and what it is now. Through the workshops, they help you really dig into like why you're doing what you're doing, like what it is you're selling, what are you trying to say, and who you're saying it to, and how to say it. I when I first started, I was just making stuff, and now I'm making stuff with more intention, and that was through the workshop, digging into what makes your caddy tick, why do I want to sell what I'm selling. And then on the other side to that, like what Leilani touched on, it actually forced me to remove that glass ceiling, and set my expectations way, way higher. Um, you know, Hearing the other companies and their income, I'm just like, dude, I'm like in the minor leagues. It would have been cool. At first, my goal was to make $1 million, and to me, as a poor kid from Eva Beach, that is like crazy goals. And I was just aiming way too low. Now it's like, hey, how do I make five? How do I make 10? It through the workshop, your mindset changes and you tend to look at your company in a very different lens.
Oh, thanks for the question.
We have another
Okay, we have
one.
another
Oh,
question
oh,
here.
good.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to read it, but you can.
Okay. Do you get support even after the 6 months Pamana program? Love that.
I never stopped texting Craig, so there's that. I text Craig for everything. Um, but a lot of it is if you need doors opened, and I would say that's one of the biggest takeaways for me is I feel like I have the biggest bully in the room on my side, and if I need a door opened or if I need uh someone to introduce me to someone or to shake a hand, that's what the team is there for. Um, I'll give you just a quick thing. There was a mix up with the last year's Mana Up. I mean, not Mana Up, but the Made in Hawaii. And I was getting a runaround over and over for months and months. And I took the biggest dog in the room, which is Meli James, and I sicked him on him, and I got a response in like 10 minutes. And therein lies the power of Mana Up.
Thanks, Ian.
I can tell you guys this, like we are barely alumni and we haven't even been able to take part of with all the alumni activities that does happen. But again, it's the relationships you build with your cohort. Like Ian joked earlier that he's texting or I'm texting him all the time, but really it's being able to have that open door where you can text your cohort members, whatever time of day and ask them questions, get ideas, bounce things off of each other. Um, that's really valuable in itself. And, that's within just like us. So it's like the support isn't just from Mana Up, it's from your cohort. It's from being a part of their alumni group. Um, it's just really cool.
Right. And to quickly add on to that, like everybody in this room, like we're all entrepreneurs and we realize entrepreneurship is a really lonely place. And a lot of times we can't talk to our friends and family members about the things we go through. So the power in Monop is you go to a room full of people that you can ask all of it to, and they have the answers to it. And that's super valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, Ian and Leilani both, just graduated in November. So they'll be attending their first alumni summit that we host every year in February. So we've got a whole bunch of speakers, and a lot of the entrepreneurs kind of doing peer-to-peer learning. So it's a really intensive 2 days where, everybody comes together. So I'm excited for all the cohort 10 folks to be indoctrinated into the alumni summit. But we do quite a few. So as we get more resources that come on board, we of course introduce that to the alumni. So like in the last like year, like DHL became a partner or FedEx. So we make sure that all of the companies, including the current cohort, as all the alumni, get access to those alum, or like we'll have a big speaker coming in that we think is really important for alumni. Maybe it's like an IP like trademark attorney that's like coming in to do a whole workshop. So we make sure everybody comes in to really make the most for the speaker as well as for all the companies as they see relevant. All right, we've got another question here. How many cohorts a year? Always June to November. Yes, so we do one cohort a year. We used to do two. It was only a 12-week program, and then we kept hearing from the entrepreneurs like it was like drinking from a fire hose, and it was like way too much for 12 weeks. So we decided to make the program longer. Hence the intensives and the implementation breaks. And really, we've grown the program so much over the last like 8 years that I can't even imagine us not having it be like 6 months. And even as it is, I mean, Ian and Leilani can probably attest it's already it's a lot even for the 6 months. So, yeah, so that's why we have one. And it's always May to November. Yeah, so November, the first week of November is showcase. So it essentially ends in October. But we're ramping up for showcase with the broadcast as well as the in-person event. Okay, let's see here. Cohort here. How many companies get selected per cohort? We typically pick 10 companies. We found that was a really nice number. As it's very hands-on. That we're it's just it's a really robust program. So we found that 10 numbers it's a nice size for this. Do you have to have a physical location for the site visit? No, you do not. So if you don't have one or you're working out of your house and that's not a thing, we can totally meet at our store, at a coffee shop, our office. You do not need to host at that facility if you don't have one. That makes sense. The only reason we do it there, if someone has a facility, is so that we can really see and learn more if that's helpful. Otherwise, not necessary. Let's see here. Okay, I saw there was a pre-accelerator program. Could we have more information on it? I'm just starting my company and for my LLC, but would like to know how I can prepare to be part of the program in the future. Yes, so we don't have like pre-accelerator programs that are set dates or set programs. So as we have partners and we have speakers coming in, we open that up sometimes for some of these earlier stage, and we like to spread the wealth. So that's more as they come in. So if you sign up for our newsletter on manuphawaii.com, that's more of our programming and our community newsletter versus like the House of Mana Up emails, which are more on the retail side, that you will be let known when we have things that come up and you can sign up for. What are the most common gaps you see in otherwise strong applicants? What do you recommend founders shore up before entering the program? Yeah, absolutely. So, there's always kind of traditional gaps around, there could be, I mean, actually, Ian and Leilani, I'd love to have you share where your gaps were when you guys are, yeah, go ahead. And I can share too.
I had most gaps. I mean, we had the selling part down, we had the product part down, but that's pretty much all we had. We were a team of four, we were disorganized, we were yeah, I mean the list is so long. But I think throughout the program you attack each one of these and take care of it, and you have your weekly check-ins. So I mean, I don't think there's so many, like I don't know, specific gaps, but I don't think you need to be perfect to get in. I think the framework should be there. Good product, the right person, and I think the rest can be fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Leilani?
I guess one of the things I saw, at least from meeting with our one-on-ones, which was, something again, like you gotta take advantage of, being able to sit with Brittany and Melly and go over your business in depth. Like, I knew there was gaps in my business, but to have somebody else point out different areas to work on, give you ideas. Like for me, like it's a little like, embarrassing to think like, okay, I've been in business, but like I didn't know my numbers. Like I knew I was making money, but I didn't really know like if you asked me or like something as simple as like, oh, who's your biggest wholesale account? Okay, yeah, I know who my biggest wholesale account is, but I don't know how much money they're bringing in. So like forcing me to take that time to kind of slow down, take a step back, review everything, um, was like just a gap in itself. And it had everything to do with me becoming that business owner, that CEO that I needed to be, kind of like what Ian said. Because in order to grow your business and to be that leader of your business, it's those little things, the foundational pieces that maybe, so for somebody like me that didn't plan on doing this long term, like I skipped a lot. And so it's kind of taking that time to go back and fill in those physical gaps in my business. That was something for me. But like Ian said, like everybody kind of came in, we all were in different places. But the one thing I saw within our own cohort is it didn't matter the size of your business. There is a lot of similar problems that businesses were encountering. And so it was nice to see that like things that I was worrying about, so were like the bigger companies.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's a hard question to answer like in general. But some of the things that we're looking for is like coachability. You don't have to have all the answers, but willing to do the work. And there's going to be a lot of advice that you folks get, regardless if it's from Mana Up, from the mentors, or from other people. But at the end of the day, you're the founder of your company and you have to distill down all the information and advice coming at you and make the decision because the buck does stop with you, right? Like you have to have that ownership mentality as the owner of your business. And so, those are some of the things that we're looking for is execution, coachability, and really being open to, uh, really thinking about your brand, your narrative, and the ability to continue to scale. All right, cool. We got more. Sorry, I can't read the chats now. Are there more chats? Craig, can you, for some reason, oh, here we go. Is there a specific thing MonUp is looking for in selecting a business for the application process? Yeah, I mean, we look at companies that are, we'll look at again, like execution. What are you doing? What have you been up to? Is this a area that's doesn't have to be like necessarily trending globally, but that's kind of a growing arena. Not something that's like a fad, that maybe kind of a short-lived product. But yeah, execution and just coachability are the key things that we're looking for. Quality of product, narrative. What's your story? Why did you build this product? And where do you see the opportunities for the future? Where might we see areas that we can help the growth? So if there are some real challenges that are not in areas that we can be helpful, that may not be a fit. So a lot of times we're looking at areas that we really can be and make those adjustments so that it can take out those barriers and really take the company to the next level. If there is more than one owner, how many can attend? Yeah. So, yeah, we've had founders, there's like three founders, and they can attend as long as they're founders and they are owners of the company. And or there may be like a workshop here or there that may be really important for one of your staff members to come because they maybe like they're doing all your social media and it's a whole workshop on that. So that's we can that's kind of like to chat about if that's something that can happen. But yeah, we've had I think we've had I don't think we've had anything more than like three founders come. But yeah, if it's like 10 founders, that might be a little bit much for every session. But yeah, definitely more than one. But for if it's a neighbor island company, we do only provide one flight. So if that's a neighbor island company, then that would be just one for the flight. I'm wondering if this is the right space for me. I want to be mindful that I'm a humble visitor to these islands and the culture of my business, although it is rooted to celebrate my heritage and indigenous roots, I don't want to take away any opportunities for any other business that has Hawaii culture in the forefront. Would the pre-accelerator program be a better fit for resources? Yeah, I don't really know just based on what the company is, but we have a lot of folks that are, you don't need to be native Hawaiian. You don't need to be born and raised here. But we do think that the narrative is important, and having a connection to Hawaii, is important. So that may be something that's locally sourced, It could be community based or it could be culture based. So there's a lot of ways to be connected to Hawaii. So definitely apply and we can take a look and see if that makes sense. I hope I'm answering that correctly. Are there ones that I missed? I think that was it for the most part. Yeah, if anyone has any other questions, feel free to share now or put it in the space in the chat. Or you can reach out to us directly to Craig, and we can get back with you as well. But yeah, we really would love for you to apply, love to get to know you. Even if you don't think like you're quite there yet or your revenue might not be there yet, we love meeting folks that are early stage. A lot of companies apply, 2 or 3 times before getting in, and it's great to get on our radar and we're on your radar. And as we have things that pop up, resources that we think, hey, oh my God, we met that company. They're awesome. We should send that over to them or include them in something. That's always been great that's on our radar too. So we love meeting folks early. Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much for your time and have a wonderful Wednesday afternoon. And we look forward to meeting you. Oh, we don't have a limit. We take as many that I mean the neighbor island aspect is not a factor because we can support the flight. So that's not a limit. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Aloha.